Good morning, everyone. Tony Mello, Mello Properties team. Hope you're doing well. 508-369-9755 is my cell phone. You can call or text anytime. 508-369-9755. All right, so I'm kind of in a lull here. I did an offer this morning. I'm waiting for some information to come in. So while I'm waiting, figured I'd throw out a video going over some of the things that are going on in the real estate industry the last couple weeks, couple months. So if you haven't heard yet, there is or has been class action lawsuits from different or in different states from different people, a collection of sellers with lawyers that are suing different larger brokerages, saying that the brokerages and the National Association of Realtors conspired to um, disadvantage sellers, make sellers pay for things that they shouldn't be paying for. So there's a lot of misinformation, a lot of people that are taking that misinformation and making decisions on stuff that is not true. Um, uh, Here's the bottom line is, if you're not in the industry and you do not do this work and you don't know how exactly it works, and I've read articles from people that are writing articles for whatever newspaper, magazine articles, whatever, and they just don't understand. They don't understand how it works. So I had a discussion with someone last week, I think it was, or maybe it was this week, I don't remember. And she had said, "Oh, I heard that you realtors are not going to be able to charge that standard 6%." So I had to go and correct and say, "All right, there's no such thing as a standard anything. It is actually against the law right now, at least." Doing a video, I'll be right out. That says that you can't discuss what you're charging. The reason they don't want you to discuss between agents, brokers, is that they don't want you to fix that percentage. So there is no standard 6%. It can be, and it ranges. It ranges between 4% right now. The average, not standard, but the average of what people are negotiating or what agents and brokers are willing to accept for the work that they're doing is between 4% and 6%. I've seen as low as 1%. And trust me, if you get a 1%, I'm talking to now sellers, if you secure a 1% with a agent or a broker, you are not getting much. So you have to kind of put yourself in the thought process here of, all right, I want to pay you what I should be paying you, a reasonable and justifiable payment, income to do the work that you're doing. If I go to you as a broker and say, "Listen, Mr. Seller, I will do all this work that I traditionally did for 4%, 5%, 6%. I'll do it for 1% now." This is me being honest with you. You're not going to be getting what you got before when you were paying the 4%, 5%, or 6%. Why? Because for me to make the same kind of living, and it's not an exorbitant amount of living, it's not like I'm rolling around in a Rolls Royce or have private jets or anything like that. And there's a lot of this stuff that has to be broken down so that you can fully understand, and is probably way beyond the scope of me making a video for this. If I agree to a 1%, I have to do 4, 5, 6 times the work, 4, 5, 6 times the closings to be able to make the poor income that I was making before. All right, and some people might not think that I'm making a poor income, but what people don't understand is, if I walk away from a closing with a check of $6,000 or $12,000, I'm not walking away with a $5,000 check or a $6,000 check. I have to feed the business. So a portion of that money goes to marketing, a portion of that money goes to taxes. I am a broker, so I have no broker that I am paying a portion of that, but there are some poor agents like I was a few years ago, where that check would go to the broker. The broker would take 30% of that, 25% of that, 40% of that, 50% of that, whatever they negotiated. And then the difference would go to the agent. That difference of that goes to the agent now gets taxed. They have to work on their own marketing. They have to do a bunch of things. So by the time they whittle down that check, the $6,000, $11,000, $12,000, and this is what people don't understand because they only look at that check and go, "Oh my God, you just made $12,000." You didn't. You didn't. $12,000 minus 30%. All right, now you're at 7,000. What's the government going to take? Oh, they're going to take $2,000. So now you're down to 5,000. You got to add money to marketing. There's another 1,000. So by the time you're done, you're making $1,000, $2,000 off of work that you spent the last 3 months working on, maybe. You know what I mean? Some of these things close within 30 days, great. But it didn't. The closing, the 30 days is from purchase and sales to closing. How about all the other times that you had to go show the last 50? How you're spending a month, 2 months, 3 months, 6 months. With some people, you're spending a year to make that money. So I don't want to get into the whole explaining everything that I wish I could. But people have to understand the nuances of how this works. And there's a lot of people talking that don't understand the nuances of how it works. I just watched this video from the president. I think he's the president of the National Association of Realtors. Um, and they're getting sued, and there's different things that they're considering. I can do this and go bankrupt, or I can do this or go bankrupt, or I can do this. Um, Settlement and make some concessions or stuff like that. Here's a key point. The National Association of Realtors does not tell anybody that they don't tell me. They don't tell anybody that you have to ask for 4%, 5%, 6%. That is fixing a commission. All right. That is illegal. You cannot do that. So another thing people don't understand is that real estate agents and realtors are two separate things. To be a realtor, you have to get your real estate license from the state first. Now you're a real estate agent. If you pay this trade association, whatever fees they want, then you become a realtor. Well, what's the difference between a realtor and a real estate agent? The only difference is, and there are people out there that prescribe to realtors, and they're going to say, oh, it's because we're better people, we're more educated, we have a code of ethics and all that stuff. Great, fine. It's not necessarily true, because there are realtors out there that are some of the worst agents out there. They're just paying into it to make themselves look like they are more than what they are. And there's different variations of professionals in this industry. So that's the difference. They are a trade group, nothing more than that. You give them money, you put the little realtor thing on your business card, makes you look like something special. Some are, some aren't. Let's leave it at that. National Association of Realtors is at a national level. They filter down to the state level, and for Massachusetts, it's MAR, M-A-R, the Massachusetts Association of Realtors. So it's a tiered group kind of thing. And then from the Massachusetts Association, then there's subgroups that go out to specific areas. The idea there is if you tear it down, they take care of national political stuff, higher level stuff. Mass is more of a state level. The subgroups are more regional onto that. All right. So the National Association of Realtors, MAR, and anybody else, they're not telling me or anybody that you have to do a certain thing a certain way. I am a contractor. I work for myself. If I decide today that I am not going to do anything other than 10% listings, if they accept, they accept. If they don't, they don't. That is up to me. Of course, I have to get other people to agree to it, and that's part of the whole competition thing. We're kind of going back and forth, negotiating that commission. All right, so no one is telling anybody that, hey, now you can't charge that standard 6%. There is no standard. It's negotiable. There is reasons why you want to pay fairly and evenly across the board, because you can't sell a house if there are no buyers. How much is your house going to be worth if there are no buyers? These are the things that you have to think about. And a lot of these people that are doing this stuff, I could probably do this lawyer stuff better than the lawyers that are protecting or representing NAR. They must not be Because to me, it's clear cut. They must not be explaining this properly to whoever it is that's making the decisions, the judge, I guess, or if there's a jury, because it is, again, to me, in my mind, it is clear cut. And if they do what they're going to do in the next month, 2 months, 6 months, 10 months, a year, and change the way people get paid and how and where this money is being documented. I'm hearing stories now that they're not going to put what the commission split is on the MLS, the multiple listing service. If you don't do that, then how does anybody know what that price is? And they're very big on not hiding things and price fixing and all that stuff. So not putting on MLS is, to me, the opposite direction of where you want to go. In Massachusetts, everything is documented from the very first step of either talking to the listing, the seller, or the buyer. It's in the documentation. The agency agreement, it says, you're hiring me and you're hiring me for this amount of money. So there's no hiding that. They're trying to be sneaky. It's in the paperwork. Once you get to the offer and the purchase and sales, again, same information is in there saying, these are the people, the buyer, seller, agent over here, agent over here. This is the companies that they work for. Here is how much they're making. So the whole idea of they're hiding things or they're making this group pay for that group, it's absurd. It's absurd. But it is what's going on now. Will it go anywhere? I don't know. This may just be a bunch of for nothing news. You know what I mean? It may never go anywhere, but if it may. And if it does, then this is something that we have to discuss and understand. And because we may need to get to the point where if the seller or that commission that's secured at the listing appointment before they start selling the house, if a portion of that money is not used to pay the buyer agent, then the buyer agent now has to go to the buyer and say, all right, buyer, you need to, because of all the stuff that happens, you need to come up with a closing costs, $7, $8, $9, $10, $11,000. You need to come up with a down deposit, $7, $6, $7, $9, $10, $11, $12,000. But now you also need to pay me. All right. And that could be 5, 6, depending on the price of the house, how much work is involved in helping you with this. 5, 6, 7, 9, 10, $11,000. Some of them are more. If you're talking $10 billion or $10 million, those commissions are higher. They're more work. There's more risk involved for the agents. So it is scaled, tiered, based on, it's a percentage of the sale price. So that is the problem. And again, in my mind, it's clear cut. I don't understand how people don't understand, but they don't. If you make it more difficult for buyers to be able to buy it, maybe it's a government scheme or something. Maybe they want to reduce the prices of houses, slow things down. If they dead leg half the buyers out there, and there's supply and demand, if there's less buyers, the prices of homes have to come down. And that's, again, where the sellers are going wrong, because, and maybe the current sellers that are in this class action suit don't care because they're going to get a chunk of that money and they get their money and they walk away. Who cares about other sellers today, tomorrow, next year? And the same thing with the lawyers. They probably don't care. Real estate agents, realtors, if you're a part of their association, brokers, they all care. They all care about their clients on both sides. They care about the future of real estate and how it all works, to make sure that both sides are moving in a direction, are taken care of in a way that is fair. So, all right, so not to roll too much into this, just imagine a day where, if it does get to that point that there are no buyer agents, there are only listing agents. And from my understanding, that did happen back in the 60s, well before me. I wasn't even born then. They survived, they sold real estate, but they also changed from that model, and they changed for a reason, because buyers were not getting the representation that they are getting today. All right, so I would even invite and maybe I'll tag the current buyers that I'm working with this morning that I'm waiting on, that we've been putting an offer together. Maybe I'll invite them to chime in. I'll tag them on Facebook, YouTube, have them chime in, and Sasha, Derek, if you can kind of talk a little bit about, and if you do, you don't. If you don't, if you're not comfortable, that's fine. About even the Facebook messaging that I sent this morning describing, excuse me, what we're doing, how we're doing it, what the pros and cons are. How hard would your life be if I wasn't here to kind of go over the details of what we can and can't do, what I'm comfortable with, what you're not comfortable with, what's the best way to negotiate and put your offer at a position where it's going to filter to the top as best as we can. You know what I mean? Uh, what is the value of that? So imagine if I wasn't here to do that with you on Facebook Messenger and work through the details of that offer and what we should and shouldn't do and how we're going to draft it up and send it. Are you getting the representation that you would be getting if I wasn't here to do that? Or because what might happen is there may not be any buyer agents. Buyers may have to go to the listing agent. Listing agent only represents the sellers and not the buyers. If you, Sarah, Derek, were to have to go to the listing agent instead of having somebody to represent you and kind of go through these details, do you think that listing agent is going to give you the best possible deal? Do you think that listing? I can tell you for a fact. I just went through a divorce um, closing a few months back, and that was a complete fiasco. You know what I mean? It's human nature for people to get as much as they possibly can. So if you don't have these buyer agents and listing agents working on both sides to kind of normalize, protect the transaction and the people in the transaction, I can tell you right now, I mean, even with what we have right now, it's still happening. If you deadleg one side and put all the power on the other side, and then you start mixing this stuff up, it is going to become an absolute, I'm going to say a shit show. It's going to become a shit show if people don't figure this stuff out, protect themselves. We will figure out one way or the other to how to do it. They are making a mess of things. They're conceding to things that they shouldn't be conceding to. I understand that they have to. That in the long run, and maybe better, because companies do it all the time, where they just they settle. Yeah, here's a couple $1,000,000. Get off my case. Go away. The lawyers will charge me 10 times that if this drags out for the next 10 years. I get it. I get why they're doing what they're doing. It'd be nice to have them and everybody else say, absolutely not, I'm not doing it. This is the reason why we do what we do. It's to protect everybody. You want to start a war? Start a war. You know what I mean? So, but that's just not reality. It's not the way it works. It's not what's going to happen. It's not what's happening. All right. So, like I said, I could offshoot into 10 million different things. There is stuff going on with this stuff. It is driving everybody in real estate nuts, including lenders, because what affects one side affects the other side. And hopefully hopefully it doesn't go through at all and it just stays the way it is, because honestly, the system that it is right now is the best way to go. Sellers think that making more money, they're not making more money. Sellers and buyers think that there's standard commissions, there isn't. Negotiate it if you want to negotiate it. And again, agents don't have to accept. If you go, listen, I don't know, I want to pay you $5. Do that with me, see what happens. It's not going to happen. I need to get paid a fair wage for the work that I'm doing. If you don't want to do it, I've got other things to do, and I'll go do those things. So, and that's what we need. And again, you have to remember that there's different levels of experience, different levels of agents out there. Some are part time, some are not part time, and I don't prescribe to the full time people or the better people. That's a whole separate video. They're not always better people. If they're too busy to take care of you specifically and they've got 50 clients, how much are you actually getting as far as attention? You're not. So again, I can offshoot into 10 different directions. I don't want to do that. Just a quick thing. I think I'm getting some stuff in now, so I need to go back to work and take care of my clients. Hope you're having a good day. Hopefully they don't do this. Hopefully they use their heads. Um, Again, people shouldn't be making decisions on things that are this drastic, this important, if they don't physically have the experience in it themselves, if they don't have a really strong understanding of what is it that we do, why do we do it, how do we do it, are we hurting this group over this group because of the way we're doing it? We're not. This group, I'm telling you right now, we're not. If they don't understand those concepts, they can make things much, much worse than what they are now, um, to the point where, honestly, buyers should start a class action lawsuit and start suing these judges and lawyers and people that are doing what they're doing, because they are going to set up a system. They're going to bring real estate back to a system and a professional level that is not in the right direction. So, all right, whatever, fine. Tony Mello, Mello Properties team, I've blabbed enough. 508 369 9755. If you got any questions with this stuff, I'm happy to always discuss it. And Sasha, Derek, if you want to kind of chime in and say, you know, give us your personal feeling on, or any of the other buyers, clients that we've had in the past, chime in and say, if we didn't have Tony to help us discuss this stuff and work on our behalf and put it on paper and send it to the other side and argue and fight sometimes, you know what I mean? We would have been in a worse position, because that is the direction that we're moving in. They are going to put buyers in a worse position, and the sellers that think they're getting what they're getting are going to get a surprise. Have a good day. See you.